Hello, welcome. Game Week 2 stream. We're here again. I think it's only Seb that's in the chat. Correct me if I'm wrong, but could just be me and you, bud, for now. While we wait for more people to join. Slightly new layout on the stream as well. Added the previous ranks on the left-hand side. Decided that chat being on the stream wasn't really necessary. I can follow that on a separate monitor, basically. So ranks have been added. We've also got a nice flashy new chat highlight. As you can now see, bottom left, FPL Seb. Hi, Dan. You're now famous, sir. Yeah, how are we doing? How are we doing? Just two people viewing now, so we'll slowly filter things in. Abdullah, hello to you, sir. How are we feeling about this week, boys? What dilemmas have we got? Seb, hello, sir. Yeah, I think this is going to be a relatively simple game week for most, to be honest. I feel like a lot of managers are going to be rolling. Me included, by the looks of it. What's your plans? Alvarez, Foden minutes. Abdullah, I think we can safely say with Foden, I mean, he's had back-to-back 90 minutes in both the Burnley game and the game against Sevilla in the Super Cup. So I'd be fairly confident that he probably gets a good solid amount of minutes this weekend. If not the full 90 again, to be honest. With Alvarez, I'm still 50-50 with him. I think he's still a rotation risk. But he was also rested for the majority of that game against Sevilla, so you could look at it in that way as well. So you did your move Mings to Henry. I don't hate that move. I think that makes sense. Mings being injured. Did you avoid the price fall as well for Mings? And Seb, any transfers you want to do? I'm really not that certain, mate, to be honest. I mean, of course, with De Zerbi mentioning that he's changing system and they're going to change, well, I say changing system. His quote, I think, was that they're going to change things. Potentially, Matoma gets benched and I would maybe move him on, but with only 0.5 in the bank, who do I go with? I can't really get to anybody that I want to get to, if that makes sense. I don't think it makes sense to do anything this week. Gabriel is also a concern of mine. Just again, though, I'm probably going to hold and just hope that he plays this Palace game and reassess in game week 3. And then Rashford and Bruno, right? They're the other two that are on the radar to be moved on. You got away with not going Rashi. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say got away with it. It's just we were rubbish, to be honest. We just didn't create hardly anything. Really lucky to come away with a clean sheet and 3 points. So Foden definitely could have got more points. Indeed, I agree. He played really, really well. Hiya, Patrick. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. Tanoki as well. Hello, my friend. Jan, welcome to the stream, mate. I'm very well. Yourself? Happy you went Anderson game week 1 with 9 points. Very strong start there. But the 4.5 rotation involves starting Cash this week before you move to Chilwell next week. Do I think Cash starts? I would say so, yes. I think he does. He had a very, very good chance as well, didn't he, against Newcastle last week. His numbers are okay, I think, from an attacking point of view as well. So Everton did well last week. So potentially Villa do concede, but I think you just take the gamble and go with him. Last week you had 20 points on the bench. You ended up with only 75. But I think, to be honest, though, bud, 75 points is still very respectable. Junior Gaming, hello, welcome. I'm doing well. How about yourself, my friend? Kobe Miranda, an individual I haven't seen for a while. How are you doing? Hope you had a good summer. The famous George Kent. Daniel! How are we doing, sir? Worst case, both Gabriel and Fernandes can be pivoted to two others. Fixtures turn a lot after all. Absolutely, my friend. I think game week 3, that's when I'm probably going to be looking at Fernandes and Gabriel as transfers out as well. But we'll see. I mean, Nottingham Forest at home for game week 3 for United is a bit spicy. So let's see. Could be Matoma that's on the way out for me as well. It'll be interesting to see how De Zerbi sets up as well. Foden and Alvarez could have at least had 1 goal each. Absolutely. I mean, this is exactly how FPL works. You just have to take the wins when you can get them. GV, you have Saliba, Kanji, and Estepinian playing, and fortunately got Reece James injured. Should you transfer out James and get somebody else? I think now we know that he's 25% flagged, I believe, right? He's got a hamstring injury. He's going to be a long-term injury, probably. I would say, 2-3 months minimum. It really depends on what your game week 3 looks like, GV. If you're happy to roll this week and use those 2 transfers with new information, potentially that's the better play. The unfortunate side of that, though, is James will probably reduce in price. So I think it's just about understanding, look, can you price... Does the suggested moves, I guess, become a priced out opportunity if you let James fall? I think that's the most important question. What do you think about Gabriel shout in Discord last weekend? Part of you wants to take Gabriel out this week, but you need to stick to the plan and roll. I think I'm tempted as well, mate. Really tempted, George. But I think he's just an extra week hold for me. Abdullah, great work done with the graphics, Dan. Thank you very much. I've added the ranks in on the left-hand side and a little pop-up for specific comments like yours that I want to highlight. So yeah, should be good. Should be good if we ever get to membership level on the channel and stuff like that. I'll be able to highlight super chats, and that was what it was about. I'm kind of planning for the future with it. FPL Seb, your team is Turner, Chilwell, Estepinian, Gabriel, Matoma, Saka, Martinelli, Bruno, Foden, Haaland and Watkins. I mean, the only difference is Rashi and Foden to my team, right? Very strong squad. What's my plans with Matoma in the coming weeks? As mentioned, I think I'm going to roll into game week 3, and I think he's probably going to be on the chopping block for me, not because of his output, but just simply because of Brighton's fixtures. If we have a look at it, I don't even feel confident that he's going to do much against West Ham. Then followed Newcastle plus Man United in 4 and 5. It's arguable game week 6 could be quite interesting, but I think Bournemouth are going to be improved this season under new management anyway. So yes, it's a fixture I would still target, but in between all of these other really negative fixtures, this kind of run here is where I'm looking. Not too great. So I think Matoma's probably going to be on the chopping block for me. Maybe I move Gabriel to a 4.5 million defender, and maybe Matoma to Maddison. I just haven't quite decided yet. So that's my thoughts, Junie. I'm not sure that Gabriel starts either, Abdullah, by the way. I do think that he won't. There is a chance he won't start, but I'm not going to ruin... I guess I could do the one move early. I could go to a 4.5 million defender this week, but I just don't know who. So I've got my eye on Colwill for a double up on Chelsea defence, but I'm not sure I want to do that ahead of West Ham away. I could potentially go someone like Rico Henry that did look really good for Brentford. They've got Fulham. Could be a potential option. So I'm not confident that he starts. I'm probably about 80% sure that Gabriel starts, but I feel like it's just too soon. I would definitely Kobe Miranda. I would definitely captain Salah. If you own him, you've already committed to going with that plan, right? Don't go to Haaland. You've got to captain Salah. Good first game week for you. You got 74 points, exactly the same as me. This year you're trying top 10,000. Do you still remember your last FPL year? I mean, look, considering you started in game week 6 or whatever it was, Seb, I think you've got a potential great shout of finishing quite high this season. I think one of the other long-term viewers, Jedi Stew, mentioned, I think it was last week in the stream, he said, rather than looking at figures, we need to maybe adjust a little bit and start thinking about percentages, because it's all very well and good on the left-hand side, me showcasing the ranks, but is it really relative to the amount of players that were there? So this season, we've already got 9 million players. So that means if you finish in the top 90,000, you're already in the top 1%. So for me, that's an achievement in itself. The top 10,000 in previous seasons was maybe the equivalent of 1%, because maybe there was only 1 million players, right? So it's all relative. Just remember that. Who will replace James? Isn't it Gusto, the 4 million defender? I think it's this chap here. So he's definitely worth a watch. And this is, again, a reason why I want to hold fire with the Gabriel move, because if I can move to Gusto as a potential wing-back option in this Chelsea attacking team for £4 million, and he's going to be playing over the next few months, a Gabriel to him frees up an extra £1 million. And I've already got the 0.5 in the bank as well. So I'm thinking that maybe a Matoma to Maddison. So if we just have a look at what we could do with the 2 transfers, this is what we would line up potentially as in game week 3, right? We'd have Gusto, Chilwell, Estepinian as the kind of the back 3, I guess. You could probably even argue that against Bournemouth away, Udogie could get the shout. So maybe ahead of West Ham United at home for Estepinian. Still yet to be decided there. But you've got that 5 and that 2 up front. So yeah, I think, to be honest, this is an easy move for me in game week 3. So I don't know. I just see the upside of rolling with that extra week of information, to be honest. You're traumatized from the 9-0, yeah. I mean, I don't think Salah blanks. If I'm honest, the reason why most people got Salah in their draft is because of game week 2. If you don't think that, then I don't know. I just, there was no other reason to get him. He was a captain option in game week 2 because Newcastle was a tricky fixture for City. So I think the only way that you really commit to owning him is by captaining him. That's my shout on it. How we doing, Harry? Welcome to the stream, mate. You've got Foden in the team and thinking about transferring him out. I think you hold on to him. I think he's a hold this week, my friend. Doctor, welcome to the stream. Hello to you, sir. Bruno to Jota, Diaz or Roll? I don't actually hate that move. I think if you want a Liverpool attacker, Bruno really didn't obviously showcase that much in terms of an FPL output last game. But for me, there is still that wait and see. But it's a possible option, right? Diaz or Jota could go absolutely mental here, but I don't think there's going to be an equivalent of a 9-0 here. Bournemouth are a very different team now. Just worth noting. Dan, is Gabriel going to start? There is no confirmation, FPL said, that he will be starting or not. I'm going to take the gamble that he does. If he doesn't, he's going to probably get sold next week anyway for me. Do I think Akanji will start? Well, let's... should we take a little look at the... what was the Sevilla lineup? Did Akanji play? Akanji did play against Sevilla. He played the full 90. He does look like he's first choice centre-back, to be honest, doesn't he now? He's very, 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 very good. Diaz just seems to have fallen off in terms of favourability. I mean, again, though, this is it's Pep. I can't sit here and say absolutely he's nailed on to start. It's just Pep does Pep things. Lavia is a defensive mid, absolutely. Keeping Gabriel this week. You've got Baldock as your first bench slot, just in case he's benched. I've heard rumours that that Baldock might be injured, actually, in terms of a small calf injury, apparently. Not that it matters too much, but I do think that holding Gabriel makes sense this week. Samuel Joshua, you're thinking of not making any transfers this week. You're just hoping Gabriel starts. Exactly the same as me, my friend. You're quite right about the ranks. Give me a second. Give me a second. It's because I copy and pasted like an absolute pleb. Let's see if we can fix it during the stream. We're doing it live, boys. Let's see if this works. And just like that, it's updated. Thanks for highlighting that, though, Junior. Appreciated. Daniel, don't sow that seed of doubt into my brain. I'm sorry. I really don't want to sow seeds of doubt. I want to only sow seeds of positivity and trust. Diaz is best centre-back in the world right now, so I think Pep is just going to give playtime to others, potentially. But again, this is Pep. Like, it's so difficult to say who gets the start or not. What do I think about Bruno to Maddison? Doctor, I'll have a look at your team shortly, my friend. What do you think about Bruno to Maddison? Look, again, I just think it's a wait and see. Like, this game is all about patience. And I'm not just saying that as a United fan. I just think we've got to give them one extra week. I think we have to give them an extra week. You knew magic was real. That's why you only make transfers near deadline, absolutely. Lesson learned, never transfer a player early, indeed. Indeed. It's a bit of a problem when you do transfers that early, my friend. Just take it with you're gonna have to ride it out, mate. You're just gonna have to take it. It is what it is. What I think about Diaby, Cristiano Ronaldo in the stream, boys. I think he's a very good player. I think he's a very good player. I think that even a Matoma to Diaby could be on the cards. I think he's definitely one of the shouts of a 6.5 million mid. Had a great showing, in my opinion, in the first week. Tanoki, small part of you thinks that Sevilla game is the rotation. He rotated now, and he'll rotate back most of the players potentially. But didn't Akanji play against Burnley as well? So did Foden. There's certain players that he can't afford to rotate, in my opinion. Right? There are certain key players, certain key individuals. Haaland being one of them. So it's too early to really say anything about it. We've got no data to go on other than one game week and a Super Cup in between. So it's just, this is why I only went with one City, guys. It's just genuinely because I was concerned about rotation. And then once the Stones news broke that he wasn't starting, that was enough for me. That was enough. So, Doctor, let's have a look at your team. 15th in the league doesn't really tell me much, unfortunately. Unless you mean Prize League. Is it Bowen the Menace? Is this your team? I can't remember. You've changed your name since. I've still got your team up there, mate, just in case it is, but we'll have a look at it in a second once you confirm. Okay, it is. Cool. We'll have a look in a minute. He was just trying to beat price rises and drops. Yeah, I mean, I understand. It is very difficult to navigate. But I don't think Gabriel was going to drop, right, in price, because he hasn't. I don't think he's been that close to it. I mean, he's certainly been removed by about 4 or 5% since game week 1, but it isn't enough to have triggered the price drop by the looks of it. He must be very close. Yeah, it's just very unlucky, though, that you've gone to James and look what happened. You didn't mention this during game week 1, but the stream layout is looking great, Dan. Thanks very much, my friend. Thank you, Junie. Appreciate that. We do a little bit of work offline here and there, you know. I try to improve things consistently. I look back at what I've done and, you know, try to improve. That's the aim of the game, mate. Should you drop Matoma to the bench and start João Pedro instead? Could you not start both? They do still have Laporte as well, Tanoki. You're quite right on that. But isn't he heavily linked with the move away? Deal broke between City and West Ham for Paqueta. Interesting. Yeah, Laporte is going to Al Nassr. I thought so. It's an interesting one for Paqueta because he's definitely got the raw talent. It'll be interesting to see how he works with City. City will win the quadruple, mate. That'll be absolutely dreamland for you boys. Completely putting United's treble and your own treble to shame if you win the quadruple. Right, let's have a look at this then, my friend. Okay, you've got a couple of differentials here, Doctor. I mean, interesting that you went Alisson. Very interesting. He's been linked with a move away as well, apparently. But there we go. 5.5 million. I think, you know, against Bournemouth, great. You've got, you know, even a captain option in Trent, in my opinion, against Bournemouth. But hey ho. I think I'd probably play Colwill ahead of Botman, Saliba and Estepinian. if you're going to go 4-4-2, which I assume you will do, I think that's the way you go. Trent, Colwill, Saliba, Estepinian. Of course, you've got Odegaard, Maddison, Eze, Saka. I think all of them are holds. Isak as well against City. It's a challenging fixture, but you've already owned him from game week 1, so I think he's a start. You can't play your Luton boy because it's a blank game week for them. I don't think Paqueta gets the shout as he's obviously linked with City now. I think you've got just a very good squad, mate. You've done well in game week 1. Good luck to game week 2. I think you can easily roll this transfer, my friend. Easily. Paqueta has betting allegations 5 minutes ago. Breaking news. Interesting. Very interesting. It's tempting, but you have like multiple millions in the bank because of João Pedro. Yeah. I guess anybody that started him does have the opportunity to be able to do a move this week. I mean, I'm not factoring in that I've only got 0.5. If you started with João Pedro, you've probably got anywhere between 1.5 to 2.5 million in the bank. And if you can get to a decent midfielder with that money in the bank in one move, I don't hate it. Again, with all transfers, they're all going to be team dependent. You know, game week 3 is also a very strong game week for a lot of teams. So you might not need the extra transfer. I'm just pretty certain that I'm going to either want to move... Well, I'm certain that I'm going to want to move Gabriel on. And I'm pretty positive I'm going to want to move either Matoma or Bruno Fernandes. You think the title race is going to be between City, Arsenal and Chelsea? I think City and Arsenal are going to be the closest two together. I think you're right that Chelsea will probably contend for top 4. But you've got to keep an eye on Newcastle, boys. I'm not saying that they'll win the title, but they are going to be top 4 contenders again as well. It's going to be a very interesting race, I think, this year. If you was to start both Matoma and Pedro, you'd have to drop either Rashi, Bruno, Saka or Foden. I think you drop Matoma, Harry, because in that scenario, you've got Pedro at least as the penalty taker. Dan is probably not going to agree. Well, I mean, the thing is, after our absolute woeful game week 1 performance, Seb, like I'm an honest Man United fan. I'm not like going to sit here and be, oh, no, we played amazing. We were lucky to keep the clean sheet. We're lucky to walk away with 3 points there, to be honest. Wolves were the better team. And if we can't get our shit together, basically, excuse my French, but if we can't get ourselves together to beat Wolves, I don't know. I don't know what to expect from us this season. It's early days, though, right? GV, exactly. You got 2.5 because you chose João Pedro. So again, I think, you know, it's circumstantial. You're in a position where you could actually go Reece James to Trent. Like, that's how crazy of a sort of availability you have. Don't move Fernandes. That's 9 letters, you madman. Abdullah, I think James Ward-Prowse is going to be a good option for 6 million. He's one of the best free kick takers, and he might also be on penalties. That's a very, very good shout. That is a very good shout. I mean, Benrahma's probably their penalty taker while he's on the pitch, right? But I think you're right. Ward-Prowse is going to be one to watch. Do I start Onana or Turner? I start Turner there, Luke, I think. Sheffield United were 19th on the XG chart in terms of game week 1. So I honestly think that Turner had a good showing as well, by the way, against Arsenal. Still coming away with 2 points after a 2-1 loss. Few save points. Or a few saves to get him a save point. I think he's well worth a shout against Sheffield United at home. Patrick, City will have problems without KDB. Do you think so? That's an interesting... that is certainly an interesting shout. I think Haaland will be harder to find for some of the other City midfielders. But I'm going to be honest, I still have faith that Foden and other sort of talented individuals like Alvarez won't be fully selfish and they will open up teams. Maybe even more so than KDB, just not with a single pass. More with their creativity in terms of running and going into spaces. So we'll see. We'll see. You think you're rolling even with money in the bank. You've got triple Brighton. Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? Is that if you've decided to go triple Brighton, that's another point as well. If you've gone with João Pedro, depending on who your 6.5 million is, that's another nuance. If you went someone like Mbermo, you're probably in a good position. But I guarantee you've probably got Estepinian and João Pedro then. So if you've got at least Estepinian and João Pedro, you probably then are looking at a way out of João Pedro to someone else. If you've got triple Brighton like you, Tanoki, I think you've got Matoma as well, right? So maybe you're looking at Matoma and João Pedro out next week, which is why a game week 2 role looks good. FPL Boo Boo, start Shaw or Colwill. I think I'd probably start Colwill, mate. I don't see us keeping a clean sheet against Spurs, if I'm honest. Who do I think is going to win UEFA Player of the Year and Ballon d'Or? I mean, that's a tricky one so early on, mate. It's the legend himself, FPL Boo Boo, just purely on the name. You've got Jota keeping this week? Absolutely, mate. Against Bournemouth, that's got to be one of the most positive fixtures of the season, right? Should you take the punt on Trent for this game week and see your luck? TAA is guaranteed for points as per AI. I mean, AI is just one measurable that I use, GV, to be honest. Sometimes I'll just check to see, look, what's it suggesting? It's going to be based on certain data, right? Or at some point. So I think Trent is worth it for this game week only. The problem is I always play FPL with about 4 or 5 game weeks in mind. And are you really comfortable earning Trent? I use that as a possibility for you because it's just to show how, I guess, flexible you could be. But are we really saying that these fixtures after Bournemouth are very good? I mean, Newcastle and Villa, these are fixtures that I can see them conceding in. I mean, you could argue that 5 and 6 are okay, although Wolves obviously showing up really well in game week 1. I'm just not sure I see clean sheets in this run of games between 2 and 7. And ultimately, we own defenders for that reason. And he didn't really play as an advanced role as we saw before. So I think, is there a need to spend 8 million on a defender when you could just simply use that money and go for a higher price midfielder? I think that's my sort of breakdown with it, GV. Hopefully that helps you. You think the TAA hype is all gone? Yeah, and I think for the right reasons. He just didn't really look as progressive as he's done before. I mean, he could have got that assist with Salah if it wasn't marginally offside. So I say that he won't get attacking returns. Absolutely he will. He's still going to be on direct free kicks as well. So there is a chance. But the fact that Szoboszlai was taking corners, I'm just not sure. There's just a lot less routes for FPL points for him for that price. Thoughts on your team? Jose Sarr, Pinnock, Ream, Dawson. That is not your team, George. Absolute troll. You agree. Thanks, Dan, for the clarification. Not a problem, sir. That's what I'm here for, right? A soundboard. £8 million per Trent is just too much. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you can't really compare him to anyone else other than an £8 million midfielder, right? You just... The argument for him is a lot lower this season, I think, than in previous seasons. And I'm going to be honest, I think if he didn't have as good of a run as he did at the back end of last season, he would have been priced 7.5. I think FPL just wanted people to make a decision with him, and that's why they priced him 8. What do I mean? You know exactly what I mean. That's just not your team. It's just not your team. The giveaway, I think, was your goalkeeper. You completely work on long name theory. So Jose Sarr would not be in this team. Exactly, it's Martinelli or Trent. Perfect example, right? You stinking more play to Jimenez this week. Mate. I feel for anybody that's going down that road. Where are we at anyway, boys? Right, 20-6. Jota in the watch list. Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. I feel like he had some really good... He had some really good opportunities in game week 1. I think that he clearly seems to be getting the number 9 role ahead of Darwin Núñez. So I'm just going to keep an eye on him. I think 8 million's an interesting price point. I've got Martinelli. I've got Bruno. I can easily do a sideways move or a bit of a downgrade from Bruno to him. Again, when we're talking about Liverpool's fixtures, I don't trust them from a clean sheet point of view, but their attack is certainly something I might want to get a piece of. So even you could add Luis Diaz to that as well, to be honest. There's a few more I could probably add here and maybe change. I mean, Porro didn't start for Spurs in the end, so I was thinking that he might do, and he was going to be an interesting pick for me. But I mean, even Salah though, right on the watch list, it's like I'd have to pretty much butcher the team with at least 2 or 3 moves in order to get to him, and I'm just not going to do that after this game week. I'm just going to ride the storm. Foden captain, damn, that's definitely a talking point, Seb. I don't think I'd go there though. Don't forget, Trent only played away at Chelsea this year, so other games he will be more advanced. No, potentially, but then in pre-season they weren't playing the same system as they were at the back end of the season because of the likes of McAllister and Szoboszlai. I think it changes the way that Klopp plays. They didn't have as strong of a midfield in the back end of last season because of injuries and so on. So I think that's why Trent was playing in that role. I think a lot of FPL players would have definitely, sort of hoped that he continued on that path, which is why FPL priced him the way they did, because he was almost like an out of position defender playing in midfield. But he's not. He hasn't been in pre-season. He didn't against Chelsea, so I don't see why that would change against Bournemouth, unless Klopp really wants to go gun ho. You've got a feeling Liverpool versus Bournemouth is going to end 1-1. That'd be a real interesting result. Massive for non-Salah owners, especially if he blanks. You'd only get him if he was called Jotanelli. You've got Trent, his value is 8 million mid with an occasional 4 points for clean sheets. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I mean, Stu. I think that the conversation is him versus the likes of Martinelli or Foden. Well, Foden's 7.5, isn't he, I think? And I'm just not sure I see clean sheets for them. That's why I went without him. I mean, we saw that against Chelsea. They were lucky to not concede 2 in the end. But look, at the end of the day, starting with an 8 million defender means that you've got a lot of options if you wanted to downgrade and put the money elsewhere anyway. So I don't hate it. Abdullah, bold move, but you're with Seb on the Foden captaincy. Damn. What do I think about Onana? Well, I mean, if you watch Monday Night Football's breakdown, it's quite clear that Onana's a much better passer of the ball. He's much more comfortable on the ball. I thought his first showing was really good. I think he's very composed on the ball. I think he can shot stop. He's certainly an upgrade to David De Gea, in my opinion. My issue is just how easily the rest of our defenders not give up, but just let spaces open up for Wolves. They could have easily scored 2 or 3 goals. So that's my only concern about him. You feel that Salah will get 2 goals and 3 assists based on his performance in the Chelsea game. I mean, he did play very well, I must say. I thought it was a very good game between them. But let's see. Like I said, Bournemouth are under new management. They're a completely different team this season. So let's see. Again, it's just there's just too little data for us to really be convinced on. Right, this is definitely going to happen. This is what's. But if I was a Salah owner, I'm going to captain him 100%. There's no doubt about it. I would target Bournemouth still. Onana has a great punch on him, mate. We were so lucky to not get that pen, or so lucky for them not to get the pen. Sorry, absolutely mad. You disagree, he's just like De Gea, not a good option for FPL. Well, in that scenario, yes, I agree that I don't rate him for FPL just yet. I think on a wild card, I'd potentially maybe look at him if the fixture run is good enough, and his assist threat, I think he's going to be there. His passing range is absolutely incredible. So that's where I'll slightly disagree that you're disagreeing. Because I do think he could be an option, but just not now for me, based on clean sheets. Do I think Gabriel will play this week, or would he just sit on the bench like game week 1? I'm really hoping that he plays. Like, in terms of hot topic, obviously a lot of people have asked this question. I have no news to give you. I have no information to provide you whether he's going to start or not. There's so much speculation about changing of systems, how Arteta's going to be playing. There is no easy answer. My easy answer to it, which is a very political answer, is just hold on to him for game week 2 and reassess in game week 3. Wolves are just a bad team. They'll probably get relegated. They just can't score goals. That is true. That will hurt them. But they did look a little bit better than what they did last season, I must admit. I mean, Cunha had so many chances. Your team is Pickford, Shaw, Gabriel, Estepinian, Trent, Martinelli, Rashford, Matoma, Bruno, Haaland, Pedro. What do I think? I think that's a very strong team for Game Week 2, my friend. I think you can quite happily roll. Unless you've already made a transfer, of course. Liverpool could score a minimum 3 goals against Bournemouth. Absolutely they could. Absolutely they could. It's a home game at the end of the day. I'm just glad it's a 3 p.m. kickoff in the UK because as you can see below, none of these are shown. None of these kickoffs are shown in the UK because we've got these 2 games here, 8 o'clock and 5:30. So I don't have to sit behind my sofa and hide. I can just wait until the highlights. Wouldn't have been a happy time to be watching that game live as a non-Salah owner. What do I think about Pedro and Mbeumo? I think both of them are fantastic. I mean, Mbeumo was a very, very close option for me. He was in many drafts before in pre-season. We already spoke about him being on penalties. I just edged with Matoma because of the fixtures. Don't regret it. It's just a choice that I made. And in terms of Pedro, I think his minutes are not guaranteed, but he looked good. He looked really good. Abdullah, really, you're really strong on this 1-1 against Bournemouth, aren't you, mate? That's an interesting prediction, and we will see how that pans out. Tell us, George. Give us the information. Tell us your prediction. Ederson versus Newcastle or Turner versus Sheffield United? I mean, Newcastle just scored 5 goals against Aston Villa. I think they still potentially nick a goal at City. So I think I'd play Turner. I think Sheffield United are so far down the pecking order in terms of expected goals. Surely it makes more sense to play them or play Turner against them. It's at Forest at home as well, so I feel like Turner could be the play. Abdullah, outside the UK and Asia, all the Premier League matches are shown. They are certainly. They certainly are. It's just about money, though, Abdullah. That's the thing. I'm not really shocked. The reality is that it's just all about money. The Premier League would have to, I don't know, that there must be some kind of gatekeeping where the 3 o'clock games can't get shown for whether it's, I don't know, to do with a bidding war. There must be a completely different broadcaster that shows them. I don't know the politics of it, but it's not shocking to me anymore. Our own football gets watched more outside of the country than it does inside. In terms of televised, of course. Turner because he makes more saves too. It's a good point. Saw what Leno did against Everton. Should have scored, but he kept them alive. Very, very true. I almost had Leno again as well. I had him in my initial drafts. Stu here in ZA, we get every single game live. All your 3 p.m. games are shown on different channels. Absolutely. It's pretty shocking, guys. Agree, Abdullah, but Salah and Trent, if they combine well with Diaz also chipping in, it can go wild. I'm scared of not owning Salah. I think we've just got to ride the storm, though, GV, right? We've chosen not to go with him for a reason. We're thinking that Haaland's captaincy can easily match Salah, if not better him. This is the point. And our midfield has had more money invested in it than anybody that's gone with Salah. So I think post-game week 2, that there's going to be individuals that are jumping off Salah if he doesn't perform. You saw a drunk genie and he told you it's going to be 3-1 to Liverpool. Klopp will score 1 with his Barnet. Gakpo will score because nobody owns him. That is so true. In true FPL ways, the non-ownerships are the ones that score. Patrick, your team's Turner, Chilwell, Estepinian, Trent, Salah, Mbeumo, Eze, Bowen, Jackson, Pedro and Haaland. Havertz and Gabriel out, so a -4 points. Interesting. What moves did you make, Patrick? Start Shaw or Gabriel? I think I would start Gabriel. He's got the better fixture, and then just put Shaw first bench. George, is the blackout rule, Dan. 3 p.m. games aren't allowed to be televised when non-league EFL games are on, so that people go to those games. Aha. Makes sense. Makes sense. So it's more to do with the physical going to the games than it is about money. Okay, I can get on board with that to some degree. Cozy, your team, Estepinian, Cash, Chilwell, Fernandez, Saka, Matoma, Jota, Salah, captain, and Welbeck and Watkins, no Haaland, because based on their performance without KDB and Gundogan, City won't score that much. Very interesting that you've gone without Haaland at all. I just guess you've jumped on the Salah captaincy hype, I suppose, and that's the way you should play it. You started with him in game week 1, no doubt, so yeah, it looks good. RJ77, good luck for this week, saving my transfer, and to you, my friend. I'm also rolling by the looks of it. Phoenix T, hold Gabriel or sell for another Arsenal defender. I think he's a hold for me until at least one more week. You don't think Haaland's going to score a goal in the Newcastle match? Interesting. I still think he's a very, very good captain option. According to Klopp, he wasn't sure that Salah will start. He said he trained but didn't tell if he was starting, according to Joe from Fantasy Football Scout. Very interesting. Haven't read that article, but yeah, that would be a massive shock to the Salah owners, let alone captainers, if he didn't start. Points equals 74, same as me, my friend. Well, okay, so 0.74, overall rank 1.8, 73 means 2.1 million. Yeah, because the ranks are so condensed this early on, Johan. They start to spread out once we start seeing transfers being made. So I would say rank really you should start paying attention to your rank from about game week 5 onwards, because then that will showcase how well you've set your team up for that first initial 5 weeks, and also you'll be able to kind of almost evaluate how your free transfers have performed as well in that case. So I think from game week 5 is when I'll be paying attention to my rank personally. I don't think it matters at this point. Gabriel to Rico Lewis, interesting. Chilwell and Mbeumo in. I think they're positive transfers, Patrick, so fair enough. Should you do Haaland to Nunez? Death skulls. No. Definitely not, mate. Definitely not. You only know because you used to go to non-league games every week. Yeah, that does make a lot more sense now, George. Would you take a minus 24 if that would give you 30 more points in the next game week? Well, that means you've got a net plus of 6 points for that game week. And also, it's not just for that one game week, is it? It's always about the longer term. So if it's not about the next game week, that minus 24 would need to give me an additional maybe 20 to 30 points across 5 game weeks. That's how I would work it out. Haaland Jr. is going to kill your rank and you will not recover at all. Absolutely. Greetings. If Haaland is over 100% effective ownership and Salah makes the same points, is it better to captain Salah? I mean, I'm not really too sure I would care about effective ownership this early in the season, if I'm honest. I think, again, for me, the narrative is that if you started with Mo Salah in your team, you captain him in game week 2. I mean, what was your plan by going with Salah in game week 1? I think most people that started with him were looking at captaining him in game week 2. You can't tell me that performance against Chelsea put you off, because he looked really good. You hope Bruno Fernandes and Rashford combine to give us 10 points minimum. Yes, GV, that would be nice. I'm hopeful against Spurs. They didn't look at the races in terms of their defensive options either. So let's see how we do. You took a -4 to get Watkins and Salah in. Interesting. Very interesting. I mean, if you've taken the -4 to get Salah in, he's got to be your captain. Dan loves the long term. He told me in game week 38 to think of the long-term ramifications of my actions. I mean, can we consider 5 game weeks long-term or mid-term? Maybe I need to readjust and say mid-term. Right, 20 minutes to the deadline, guys. Just make sure your bench order's okay. Make sure you've got the right subs. Your captain's already locked in. If you're making a transfer, do it now. I don't think we're going to get much news between now and the deadline. According to the Premier League, FPL will be played by approximately 15 million players this year. So Again, going back to percentages then, I guess you could say a really successful season for you is a 1% finish, and that would be 150k. And again, just put that in perspective, 150,000 is top 1% finish. There are people that finished top 10k 10 years ago, and they talk about finishing top 10k. But 10 years ago, there was not 15 million players. So again, take the number with a pinch of salt. It's about the percentage. Shout out to you again, Jedi Stew, for reminding me about that, because it's such an important narrative. You're really sad because Nkunku got injured so early. You just love him as a player and he could be the best striker for Chelsea. I do agree with that. I think he's, Jackson looked pretty sharp though. I think he's definitely going to be a route to points for FPL. But it would have been good to see Nkunku play, absolutely. Haaland to Alvarez. No, don't do it. Who do you bench? Ryan Yates or João Palhinha? João Palhinha, because he's got no shoulder. Daniel, is it worth taking a hit to take out James or just play Udogie? I think you just play Udogie at this point. You've already made the move. And I just think it's probably just better. So, well, I don't... No, you can't take the hit. I just think you've got to move him on at a different time. Because you can play Udogie in game week 3, right? So you've got him as backup against Bournemouth, which is still good. I just think you ride the storm, Daniel, to be honest. I just think, honestly, it's going to be very difficult to recover early on. Just play it patiently. Don't make early transfers. Wait for all the news possible next week and then make an assessment then. Seb, remember that there are probably half of the players that don't play the game. They just make their squad for the first game week, then just leave it. But then that's not an argument, because then last season, out of the 9 million players, there's still a portion of people like that as well. So maybe that portion increases. You could say that, okay, let's say finish in the top 2% matters, because 1% of the teams are dead by game week 5. The percentage is still an important stat rather than the number. Udogie's got Man United. He doesn't look a good defender to me. No, it's not really about that, though. It's just about the fact that you've got points. Don't take a -4, and that's it. Thanks, Dad. I had a text from Big Yatesy himself. He's bagging 2 tonight. People who were getting into top 10k 5 years ago are struggling to get into 50 to 100k. Shows how tough the game has become. And I think, to be honest, Junior, it's a good shout, because content is at its all-time high in terms of FPL, right? Not just YouTube. We're talking about Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. There's so many different avenues to consume content now. It doesn't have to be in video format. There's plenty of individuals out there that listen to podcasts, that read newsletters, all that good stuff. And it's just become a much more popular game. So it's just harder to get into those top ranks now. Thanks, Dan. All about the percentages. It certainly is, mate. And it's just something I never considered before. I think I got too hot on this whole, I really want to get into the top 10k. But actually, no, it's about, in my opinion, getting into that 1% club. I think that's the more consistent number to aim for. Captain Saka, don't hate it. Don't hate it, Daniel. I like that. Fully differential, mind you. GV, yes, you need to check the bench order. Back in 5 minutes. Good stuff. Happy to remind you. Patrick, but Disassi, is that how you pronounce his name? He came from nowhere. I'd never heard of him. Absolutely. Same as me, to be honest. Again, guys, it's only one game week. So for me personally, I would play Udogie this week for Daniel. Going back to him as an unknown defender. It was only 1 week that we've seen him for. I think you play him. You've got him as a backup then for Bournemouth next week if you really want to keep playing him. And then you can reassess James at that point. I think it's just an unfortunate transfer that Daniel's made. What percentage of long name players perform well? Answer is 100%. Too right, mate. Premier League players are now involved in FPL as well. They are captaining themselves in FPL. Absolutely. It's a sight to behold. Salah potentially got 2 goals and an assist in that Chelsea game. He hit the crossbar. He certainly did. Narrow offside, indeed. And then 1 assist. Imagine that against Bournemouth with McAllister giving Salah balls and penalties. This is it. This is the point. Like, he is the captain of this week for that exact reason. Shawnee567, Anana or Turner? My friend, it's got to be Turner. Got to be Turner against Sheffield United. You know, I say this as a Man United fan as well. I think Tottenham score against us, mate. 5 minutes, GV's bench must be proper long. Maybe he needs to go and grab his phone. Maybe he's watching me on a computer. Maybe he's, who knows? That wouldn't make sense, though, would it, really? He'd just open up a new tab. Maybe he's watching me on his phone, doesn't want to close YouTube. See, this is a true supporter. He must be watching me on the phone, doesn't want to close the app, the YouTube app, so that he opens up FPL. Now he's running to his laptop or his computer to do the moves. Check tweets also for any last minute surprises. There you go. See, what a supporter. What a guy. Phoenix T, according to you, top 6 teams prediction. Top 6 team prediction. I'd probably go. I think City win it. I think Arsenal probably come second again. I'm going to go. I'm going to go Newcastle third. I think United finish fourth. I think Chelsea finish fifth. Who can be the 6th team? Liverpool, I think. I think that's my top 6. I think it's going to be so close, but I think, I'd go City, Arsenal, Newcastle, United, Chelsea, Liverpool for me. And Liverpool could easily finish above United or Chelsea, by the way. This is just a little bit of Man United bias. Salah plays FPL as well, and he suggests everyone captains him. I don't know if he plays it, but he knows about it. Because there was an interview, wasn't there, I think, where he said, I score you the most points every week or something like that. Cozy, you went Leno and Welbeck differential, and Leno returned 12 points against Everton. Very strong, mate. Very strong. I considered him in pre-season. People were laughing, but I think it was the Polinia injury that really put me off. I didn't feel that Fulham were going to keep the clean sheets now that they lost such an important part of their defensive lineup. I know he's a midfielder, but my point is he plays as a defensive midfielder. You think Newcastle are going to surprise City tomorrow? I wouldn't actually put it past them to draw with them. I mean, I think City could easily drop points tomorrow. But I still think that Haaland will return. Forgot a team, forgot the mighty Palace. I think mid-table team at best, though, right? Under Hodgson, I just don't think they can be exciting enough to break into to like European places. I mean, I've forgotten Villa and Brighton in the mix as well. There, 2 teams that, let's not forget, they've reached Europe. So it'll be interesting to see. But I've just gone with big clubs, I think, for top 6. It sounds really horrible, but let me tell you one thing. I mean, with Brighton, I'm so impressed with them as a Premier League club, to be honest. The way they handle their transfer business is just second to none. They're one of the best in the business at that. Same for Brentford as well. Right, should we have a look at some other FPL boys? What's Focal saying? Start Udogie or Akanji? Start Udogie or Akanji? Both really tricky fixtures. I trust Akanji just based on City as a team. Defensively better than Spurs. So we won the league last season at the bottom half. Yeah, that's true. Any thoughts on Isak? I really like him as an option. I think he probably gets most of the starts this season ahead of Callum Wilson. I honestly think he's such a talent. I really enjoyed owning him last season. I think, I did captain Wilson ahead of Isak. in that famous Isak versus Wilson week. And that basically catapulted my rank. But I think this season will be a much more positive one for Isak. I think Wilson will get used more in European fixtures and cup fixtures. That's my prediction anyway. I've got no news or guarantees on that. Obviously, that's my feeling. And at 7.6 million now, I think he's an absolute steal. I think he's an absolute steal. One to watch for sure. He should be on the watch list, really. I mean, we could definitely update that below me. Right, let's go. Take Porro out, couldn't we? We could easily put like Diaz in there. Isak can go in there. Sorry, guys, 1 sec. Let me just. That's the one. Editing live, boys. We're editing live. Would I start Turner or Edison? Joe, I've already mentioned to another viewer I would start Turner ahead of Edison, I think. I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but I trust Newcastle to potentially score over Sheffield United scoring against Forest, basically. I think Turner makes sense. You don't know why nobody else went for Isak in the transfer market. It's just, sometimes that's just the way it works, though, right? It's certain players get picked up by scouts, but then they never really transition into transfers for teams. So, do you think I should play Leno over Pickford, considering the fact that Leno makes 6 saves per game and a potential clean sheet? You've got Matty Cash and Watkins versus Everton and hoping they both return. Then I probably would play, yes. I think I would. Fulham at home against Brentford, that's not a bad game. I think I would play Leno, yes. United or Spurs or even Chelsea would really like to have him now. That's true. Well, you say that. I mean, we've got a striker now. He's just injured. So let's see how Højlund works out, because as a 20-year-old, I think he could be promising. It's the first under 30 striker that United have signed for ages. So let's see. You doubt Isak wanted to leave. He has already turned down clubs like Real before. Very true. Georgie, you're going to go with Jimenez? Surely not. Turner's going to score a 12-pointer. I hope so. I hope so. Should we do a chat bet on the game for the weekend? What, a £1 bet? 6 minutes till deadline, boys. Boom. Sorry, guys. I'm transfixed with Twitter. Nothing really happening, to be honest, guys. Nothing to with the early kickoff being Forest and Sheffield United. It's not as spicy in comparison to game week 1. Right, boys. So we've got 5 minutes before the deadline. I would really, really, really appreciate you hit that sub button for me, first and foremost. And if you did enjoy it, smash that like button as well. Really helps the channel grow. We're gonna put the Discord in the chat as well, even though I think it's in the video description. At least it should be. Let me have a look at this. Hold on. Where are we at? Discord server. Boom. Right, we're going to put the Discord in the chat. Please feel free to come and join me over there. There's some bots and all sorts of different bits and pieces to go through there, with some automation like injury updates, price changes, all that good stuff. So head over there, and you can always at me if you've got some questions. There's a rate my team section as well for you to put screenshots out there and different transfer options each week, because I won't be able to stream every deadline this week, this year, this season. So that's going to be a way to keep up to date with my moves and the content I put out as well. So please feel free to join me over there. But yeah, it's been a fantastic stream, guys, as always. Mr. Blanky, should you captain Haaland or Saka? I'm going to go with Haaland. I think Saka's just a strong enough vice captain. I'm not convinced that Saka outscores Haaland this week. You've got Foden, but you're not captaining him. Yeah, I think that's the move. GB, thanks. It was great spending time with others in the stream. Absolutely. We've still got a couple of minutes. I was just wrapping things up a little bit early there. So you don't understand Discord. Is there a fee? What advantages, etc.? I mean, there's no fee. It's a free bit of software. I guess there's a lot of automation in there. Like if you... I guess it's one of those situations. If you feel like you want some automation and you go to maybe 6 different websites to find price changes and all different bits and pieces, I've just got it all in one place on that Discord server. You can talk with other members of the community. You can at me there as well. I don't know. I spend time when I'm on my computer, I'm always on Discord. So I feel like it makes sense to join it if you're part of the community, really. Replace Watkins for Jackson? I don't think so. I think Watkins against Everton is such a strong fixture. Salah would score over 20 points this game week. Not captained, mark my word. I mean, let's see. Good luck to those Salah captainers, though. If it's free, you're the product. I mean, to some degree, yeah. There's optional things, right? Like, I'm not a Discord expert, but I'm pretty certain you can do Nitro, which means you can subscribe to additional things within the application. But there isn't a fee to joining the channel, basically. The Discord server I've created is completely free. I'll never ask you for any money. It's just another way to support the channel, really, and just be part of the community. That's what it's about. And I'll just keep improving it as time goes on as well. Yeah, that's a good point, Tanoki. Discord is mostly just like what an old chat room used to be like. Very true. Very true. Seb, Dan, my little brother is as stupid as I was last season. He's already used his wild card now. Well, listen, I don't think there's ever a right time or a wrong time to use it. If he needed it, he needed it. If his team was rubbish in game week 1, then that's how we do. Salah will score less than 5 points, mark my words. I can't see less than 5. I could see at least 1 attacking return for him. I'd be very happy with Haaland and Salah matching each other this week. Nitro Gaming and using emotes outside of their servers. Yeah, I knew there was some kind of subscription services and like different bits. You can boost servers, I think, as well for money. You can do certain things, but... Salah would score 40 points or more, captain. Damn. I mean, this is such a contrast. Some people are saying 5 points, some saying 20, right? Locked in? Yeah, 6:15. There we go. There we go, boys. We're locked in, boys. We're locked in. Absolutely crazy. Rolled. We've rolled. Nice and easy. Simple thing, I think, here. Just... I really was tempted to sell Gabriel, I'm not going to lie. But good luck to everybody that captained Saka. Good luck to everybody that captained Salah. good luck for captaincy in general this week, guys. Good luck for the whole week. I will be back, I think. Let me just check. Is the deadline Friday again next week? I think it is, right? It's the next few weeks. So I should be around again. But thank you very much for joining me, as always, guys. Before, as we've said, if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed it, subscribe for me. Hit the like button as well. And, of course, I will put the Discord server in one last time for those that missed it. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. But yeah, take care, guys. Good luck. See you in the next stream. Take care.